What is consciousness? Well, um, ba- consciousness is experienced through all humans, or as far as we know, you, your mom, your sister, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your dad, all of them are conscious, or at least we think so. The only thing we are actually sure about is the fact that you yourself is conscious. I have no idea if you guys are, or if you are all robots in a simulation. All I can be sure about is that me myself is conscious. Consciousness has been a curiosity of humans since humans have been able to think about it. I am curious about it at least. I suffered through an entire Bib, Bible, bibliography. Suffered through an entire bibliography trying to find something that humans have been studying about for a long time. The study of consciousness, thinking, and the whole subjective experience has grown over the past decades since the focus of those studies has been geared towards the detectable associations of the experience. Instead of trying to figure out exactly how it works, they have turned towards figuring out what happens with people when consciousness arises. In that way, they can figure out what parts of the brain are triggered. That is the only way to detect consciousness response. If there is a response, it can be inferred that there is conscious behavior. If something doesn't have a response, then, well, they're not conscious. The exact definition of this is the neural correlates of consciousness, or the NCC. NCC are the minimal guidelines or requirements for conscious behavior to happen. The posterior cortex of the brain is thought to be where thought and activity happens the most that fits under these qualifications. In a study done before surgeons removed brain tumors from affected patients, scientists plotted the cortical brain functions and found that mainly consciousness will arise from the posterior cortex, which is right here. What the scientists did was stimulate different parts of their brain and record the patient's reactions to it. When stimulating the posterior cortex, the patients would have vivid images of flashing lights and optical illusions. However, when stimulating other parts of the brain, there were no similar findings shown. This gave the scientists the ability to infer that conscious activity arises from the posterior cortex. Consciousness can be detected in other ways as well, besides, giving dying brain tumor patients epileptic episodes. These are behaviors and awarenesses. In this broad world of study, anticipation and preconditioning are believed to spark perceptive thought, as well as fall into line with the elements of NCC. Anticipation is the knowledge that something will happen or the expectation that something will happen. Preconditioning is something happening before that prepares you for the future or a future specific event. Both anticipation and preconditioning show NCC because of the awareness it takes for those two events to occur. Awareness is the sense you have of your surroundings and your recognition of those surroundings and past events. Anticipation comes from being aware of what is going to happen, and preconditioning comes from being aware of what has happened. Another sign of awareness is the use of outside objects to effectively enhance one's life, or tools. Tools show awareness because you have to use your surroundings in order to use tools, and you must be aware of those surroundings to be able to use it. Communication is another indicator of awareness. To be able to communicate, you have to use awareness the whole time. Who and what can understand you, your tones, other verbal tones, all of it is awareness. Using tools and communicating is wrapped into one word: play. Or that's what the scientists call it. Why did I just describe awareness and different signs of it? Well, awareness is a key component of consciousness. To be aware of the things around you is to be conscious and thinking. It is to be active and alive. Consciousness is not simplistic, but being aware is really the simplest form of that non-simplistic monster of a topic. So what the smart, brainiac scientist guys have discovered is that consciousness arises from the posterior cortex, or that part of the brain is activated when conscious thought happens. They found this through the created checklist, the neural correlates of consciousness, or NCC, which describes all of the minimal reactions that must occur for an instance to be conscious. They also found conscious behaviors through play, which is the use of tools and communication. But when it comes down to the base of it, to the very minimal base of consciousness, no. I have no idea. No one has any idea what it is. The fact that I can think of an apple right now, and there be a vivid picture of either the word apple or an apple in my mind, is insane. And there's not even an apple near me. I don't know why I thought of apple. Maybe it's because I'm using a Mac, but it's just crazy. The fact that you're thinking of an apple right now is crazy. I don't know how it happens. No one knows how it happens. The brain is a mystery. And to discover more about it would be amazing. But as of right now, there is no story, no narrative at all about what consciousness really is. Scientists have mapped out guidelines and details about where consciousness actually occurs, but no one truly knows how the brain can function to make pictures in your mind, to make videos happen, to make people think and talk and just be alive. It's insane how a bunch of atoms can come together to just be alive, but consciousness is just a wide mystery. There's not a set narrative, but there are current studies going on, and there are current guidelines that will help us move forward, that will help us determine what consciousness is, and will help us discover the mysteries of it, so that we no longer have to ask, what is consciousness?